Hi, my name is Robert, and welcome to my lecture about how I hope and think that the American Revolution will not be just the Ron Paul Revolution, which is gaining momentum, of course, but it is one of free thinking. And in my presentation today, I'm going to use anecdotal evidence that I have. And you can look up anything that I say. Right? If there's anything that I say that you don't agree with, go ahead, look it up, do your own research. It is your job as a free individual thinker to test what I am saying, right? I'm not here to really sway anybody's beliefs towards Ron Paul or towards McCain or towards anybody, or, that's not what I'm about. I'm talking about free individual thinking, and I'm going to use examples throughout history, human nature, to elaborate my points. So I'm going to make a bold statement. As much as I like Ron Paul, he is a puppet. Okay? He is a puppet. Alright? As is the rest of the government is a puppet. If you've ever seen Aaron Russo's Freedom to Fascism video, he says something that is very, very interesting. He says, stop being good Democrats and stop being good Republicans, but be good Americans, right? And if you really look to the Constitution, it's all about, free thinking, freedom of speech, freedom of this, freedom of that, right? It's not a two-party thing, right? So you got to see who these people are for what they are. And I'm going to tell you why Ron Paul is a bit of a puppet. And some of my ideas are influenced by a guy at prothinkbook.org. Go check out his latest podcast. In fact, I suggest you watch that before you watch the rest of this video. And really consider what he has to say. Because it is your job as a free thinker, as a critical thinker, to check your resources, right? And the reason why I say that is because let's take a look at Japan right now. Okay, they have a huge market of technology and business. Their word for business is war, and one of the reasons why they are so very successful is whenever they do anything, they look at all of the possibilities that are there, and they look at all the information, and they take measures for basically every possible scenario that they can think of, right? Where a lot of Western culture, it only gears toward one side, one fact or one set of facts or whatever. They follow one thing and just completely disregard all the other facts. Religion is kind of like that. But anyway. So, and his followers, Ron Paul's followers, were also, oh my god. Anyway, yeah, we're kind of the puppet people too, because we are just being led around, right? And anyway, so, if you don't believe me, okay, I'm going to give you guys a quick history lesson, because we've had Ron Pauls all throughout history, all throughout pretty much recorded history, and the most popular being Jesus, right? Now, I'm not Christian. I don't know whether there really was a guy named Jesus who, tried to free the Jews and stuff like that. I have no idea, okay? I don't presume to know. But generally, the basic story is the same, right? Here's a guy who looks at what the government is doing, seeing how they're using things like religion to oppress people, right? And he says, no way. The kingdom of God is not up there; it's right here, here on earth, right? And it's we the people, that are going to make the kingdom of God for ourselves, right? And so the government goes, okay, look at this guy. We can't have him going around. He's creating a lot of chaos, right? So what do? They kill him. They crucify him, and they post him. They put him as a martyr, and he becomes the poster boy for the very thing that Jesus was trying to bring down. He becomes a poster boy for these guys, and they do it is they dilute his message just a little bit and mix it in with a bunch of symbolism and a bunch of mythology and shit like that, and put miracles into it. And then what they do is they pre-package this into this gigantic meme, and spread it around people, so people think they believe in something, and they inevitably they follow the same gurus to their own death. Okay, and another example, Gandhi. Very great man. He brought out peaceful protesting, which is very, very good. And he did a wonderful thing. He freed India from British rule, right? That was good. But look at what happened after that. He gets assassinated. He becomes a martyr, and now India is like two divided countries now. Both nuclear armed. Babies are getting their heads smashed against rocks and shit like that. It's just history repeating itself over and over again. Same thing with Martin Luther King, same thing with John Lennon. I'm not saying these guys are bad people. Their ideas are very, very, very good. The freedom, like Ron Paul says, is a powerful message, and it's one that people really like. Okay, so if you can imagine all these conspiracy theories, right? About where you have all of these guys at the top of a compartmentalized pyramid. How do they manipulate people into this? Into wars and revolutions and freedom fighting and shit like that. And it's very easy. I mean, look at what David Icke has put out. Some of his stuff is kind of crackpotish. I agree, but at the same time, he has some very good ideas, right? That, and this is something that people really should consider, is that people are, right? There's a handful of people. You can probably count the percentage of people on your fingers, right? Let's say out of 1,000. Of like 1,000 people, there are probably about 3 people that run everything, right? That's just out of 1,000, right? Of course, I don't know. So basically, we have 3% of people in North America, or maybe even in the world, that control and run everything, and they play every side out against each other, and they use things like war and fear to manipulate people, but they also use things like freedom and shit like that. So what these guys do is whoever stands up and decides to stick it to the man, what these guys do is they go, okay, this guy's no longer, he isn't really a threat, we can use this guy to our advantage. So what they do is they send out members to infiltrate that person's group, and then some big war happens or a revolution happens, and it's history repeating itself over and over again. And by the time the end of the revolution is over, or the war is over, people are nowhere closer to where they started. From where they started. I mean, hello, it's all throughout history. All I have to do is read your fucking books. I mean, look. I mean, it's all around you, right? And there's only one reason why this shit is continuing to happen, and why it will continue to happen, even if Ron Paul gets into office and eliminates the Federal Reserve. I mean, that's only a small fucking portion, right? What this has to be is a revolution of free individual thinkers, critical fucking thinking, right? That means critical thinking is basically the ability to step outside an argument, and from a purely objective standpoint. That means you're not emotionally involved, where you can, step back out of an issue and look at both sides and decide for yourself what is right and true to you or not, okay? And it's also the ability to really basically not give a shit what other people think about you. I mean, seriously, if you're going to make a decision to do whatever you want in life, Okay, there's a very, 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 very easy way to figure out whether you're going to do this or not. Okay, is you run a pass. Okay, does this reasonably make sense to me? Sure. How do I feel about this decision or about this belief that I'm going to adopt? If it feels good, right? Even if your gut feeling doesn't, object to anything, it's probably good, right? And does it conflict with your conscience? If your conscience isn't objecting to it, in fact, if all three of those naturally built in mechanisms that we have, if they all agree with each other on that choice and that belief, it's probably the right choice, okay? So let me give you an example. Let's say you live in a busy town.